Hello, fellow truth seekers. This is Barbara Jean. This is going to not be a very long video, and as you can see, I'm not in my usual spot. When I make my videos, I'm actually lying in bed. I'm lying in bed, and this is not my normal room. I've been moved from my apartment into upstairs. But anyway, to let you know, I'm still alive, barely. I've had a few months, a very, very difficult few months since May, early May. I think my last video. And I said something, I think something kind of prophetic. I said that May, something I can't remember what I exactly said in my last video, but I said that somehow in May, around my birthday, was going to be a transition or something like that. Well, it certainly was. Uh, the first week of May, I got really, really sick, and to the point where I couldn't stand anymore. So I was taken to the hospital, and where I was in the worst situation I've ever been in my life, where I prayed for death. And I mean that quite sincerely. I prayed that the Lord would take me because I was in so much pain from blood clots in my legs. And after 3 harrowing weeks in acute care and several surgeries, um, they managed to save my leg. And but they had to do some major cutting of the tendons to take the strain off my right leg. And so um, after that, it was also extremely uh, harrowing emotionally and physically for me up until about 3 weeks ago when I actually was released from the hospital a couple of weeks ago. Um, and this, this is early August, but yeah, it was a very extremely emotional time. The whole time the Lord was with me, I could feel His presence. The anointing never left during the whole time I was in the hospital. Um, during the most excruciating times of my life, I was even saying, "Lord, how can you be so cruel?" Because I felt like, it's the worst time of my life. I'm praying for death, and all I'm feeling is this constant brain surgery. So I have to tell you, I was not a happy camper, and I wasn't one of those peaceful Christians that, oh, this is going to be fine. The Lord's with me. No, I was not like that. I was just praying for death. Dear Lord, why don't you just take me? Because this would be so much easier just to take me. But I guess the Lord has still more plans for me, and I'm not dead yet. Um, I'm still struggling a couple of weeks after leaving the hospital. But the hospital staff was wonderful, I have to tell you. Um, the hospital staff was wonderful, even though during the COVID thing and all the hype and all that stuff that I had to go through. I didn't take any vaccines, just to let you know. Although they did offer several times. And I said, no, thank you. But anyway, they got me back on my feet. I'm using a walker when I have to go back and forth to the hospital for dialysis. That's what this is here. Dialysis there. Thankfully, that's only temporary. My kidneys actually stopped functioning for several weeks. So that's why they put me on the dialysis. But through the prayers of many saints and the mercy of God, um, my kidneys are recovering slowly, but recovering from the trauma of everything that I'd gone through. But anyway, I am starting to walk again. I mean, I'm walking with a walker, and I use a wheelchair to get back and forth from the hospital. And I have the support of a lot of beautiful people, including my sister and my sister in Toronto, and my sister's here at home. So Um, thankfully, I'll get back on my feet shortly. And I am doing very well. In fact, all my vital signs are very good. I had to have some heart surgery. Interestingly enough, I had to have some heart surgery because I had holes in my heart, which isn't surprising when when I think back at when I was 14 years old. I asked the Lord to put a thorn of suffering in my heart. Well, He must have done it because it must have pierced a few places in my heart because that's where they discovered Uh, I mean, all this time I've gone back and forth to the hospital for blood clots, and this is the first time they actually looked into maybe the reason for the blood clots, which was not high cholesterol. It was actually the hole in the heart. The holes in the heart were causing the confusion of the two ventricles of the heart, and so the blood was going from one side that shouldn't. Was going to the wrong side through the holes in the heart, and thankfully it was an easy fix. So that was good. That was an easy fix, and so they fixed that while I was dealing with the leg thing. My legs being operated on. I had 2 or 3 operations on my legs, and one on my left, at the knee, to get rid of a serious clot in my left leg, and then 2 very large. It's fleshy. What's it called? Flash flashoscopy. Flashoscopy, I think it's called something like that. Flashoscopy, flash. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, they went down both sides of the leg, or on either side of the shin bone, and cut the tendons. And so that's why I'm having difficulty walking. And but anyway, the nerves are all shattered in both legs. But that's to be expected. But you know that they're starting to heal, and that's not pleasant either. But however, I can deal with that, thankfully. But I'm getting, like I said, I'm getting around with a walker. And so anyway, I'm struggling with inspiration at the moment, and the Lord's still with me. Like I said, the anointing never ends, never stops. But right now, I guess the Lord feels I've got enough on my plate to deal with, and to deal with more information. Although I'm still, you know, I feel kind of lost without that constant inspiration coming. But I guess then the Lord just says, no, you've got enough on your plate. Don't worry about anything else right now. Just get well. That's your job. And I've had a few interesting insights as to perhaps why I had this whole episode. And one of it was about food, food and how important food is. But since I've had this situation, I have to tell you, food has become. So I said, it used to be my friend, and now I find it's my enemy. I just find I don't really have an appetite for the things I used to have an appetite for. Um, I don't crave the sweets that I used to. Um, I don't like to very much to eat bready things like muffins and cakes. All that sort of thing just turns me off. It's like it tastes like sawdust in my mouth, and it's a bit disturbing. It's a bit disturbing because, like I said, food used to be my friend, and now I find it's like my enemy. And but anyway, there's a lot of inspiration. I was talking to one of my sisters in Kelowna, my sister in Kelowna, and I was thinking, we were talking about food and how important food and your attitude about food is, because that was the first sin in the garden. It was Eve craving something she shouldn't have eaten. She ate something she shouldn't have eaten, so it was about food. And I've said something about, how the seed of Satan is in the stomach, and that's where he appeals. He gives us empty foods to feast on, but they don't provide life, which was one of the things we were talking about. I was talking about with my sister. So some things are coming up, but I'm not really there to yet to share a lot of things because I'm still mulling. I'm still emotional. I'm still dealing with a lot of issues, emotional issues, physical issues that haven't yet been resolved. But anyway, I thought I'd check in because I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, did she die? Well, almost. I was on the verge of death several times and really praying for it, really, really, really hard. Please, Lord, take me home. I'm ready to go, but He wasn't ready to let me go, obviously, because I'm still here. And there were times when I think, oh, it would have been so easy just to, go home. I didn't even have any wonderful dreams or near-death experiences or anything, which I regret. Would have been really comforting, I think, to have some visitation or see angels or something. but I didn't. In fact, my dreams were really, really dark. I had a lot of very dark dreams. And when I was in the hospital, I cried an awful lot. And one of the things well, the things that came up was a lot of sorrow, a great deal of grief was coming up. And I've done a lot of crying. I did a lot of crying in the hospital, and I've done a lot of crying since I've been home. And I don't think I'm there. I don't think I'm done yet. I think there's still some more sorrow that needs to be dealt with. But um, I think I'm coming to the end of it and getting closer to the joy. You know the part where it says joy comes in the morning? Well, I'm still waiting for that part. But I'm doing a lot of lying around because there's not really much I can do until my legs actually start to function more, properly. And the best way to let them do that is just let the nerves in the legs to heal, and that requires a lot of lying around. I do get up and sit up and walk around and get some sun, which I was kind of worried about when I was in the hospital until the middle of July. I was worried I wasn't going to get any sun because, I went to the hospital when it was still cool in the beginning of May. And I thought, I'm going to lie in this hospital. And no visitors. That was really hard. No visitors. But I had some interesting experiences and met some interesting people in the hospital. But like I said, the nursing staff was just amazing. And the Royal Columbian Hospital where I was, amazing staff, just amazing. But anyway, I'm sure I'll share more with you about my very interesting experience in the hospital. But yeah, I'll be back. I'm back. I'm back, baby. That's what one of the most wonderful um, bed roommates that I had in the hospital because I was in a room with four beds, and they don't have women and men, alone, separated anymore. You gotta share your room with a man, but you got curtains behind you to separate your sleeping areas. But anyway, that's the way it is these days. But one of my most wonderful roommates for 3 weeks was a man named Reg. He was from England, and anyway, he got me through so much. Thank you, Reg. I just love him so much. He was a doll, and he got me through 3 weeks of emotional craziness. And he encouraged me so much. He himself had a terrible accident, his leg in a construction accident, and his leg was swollen like you wouldn't believe. Anyway, he was just wonderful. So he got me through a great deal of, like I said, emotional issues. Helped me get me up out of bed by, his encouragement. So, like I said, I've had some interesting experiences in the hospital, but none that I would really, I wish I had had some near-death experience or saw angels or something, but I didn't, unfortunately. But the Lord brought me through it anyway, the way He wanted to. And I'm trying to deal with some of the things that I had experienced and still, like I said, dealing with emotional issues since coming out of the hospital. But I sense His presence, and He promised me He would never leave me nor forsake me. He promised. Maybe it's a sign, for the bride of Christ, because that's what He called me to be, the prophet for the bride. That we were facing death. We almost lost our legs. Uh, we have to learn to walk again. Um, we're going through a major transformation and cleansing, perhaps. Um, we're learning to think different. Our attitudes about certain things are being changed. And when we thought we were dead in the water and that was it, we were done, the Lord said, nope, not done yet. I'm bringing you back from the dead. I'm bringing you back on the brink. When you're the weakest, that's when you'll be strong. I don't know. I don't really know all the Lord is doing here, but as I know my calling is to be the prophet for the bride. That's what He called me to. And I'm struggling. I'm dealing, but I'm struggling. But I'll get through this too. All things must come to an end, and even this period, which has been rather strange, will come to an end. My legs are no longer this big. They have shrunken a little bit. There's less water, you know, because of the uh, blood clot issues are being resolved. And like I said, the holes in the heart appear to have been the issue. And by God's grace, that was dealt with. It hadn't been dealt with twice. I've been in the hospital for, was it 3 times for blood clots before that, and they never looked into the issue as to why. Now they did. This time they did. And interestingly enough, the doctor who did it was a young man named Joseph. Dr. Joseph. Well, isn't that an interesting coincidence? The doctor who looked into it after I'd been in acute care for almost 2 weeks, he said we started thinking. Actually, I said to him about, I talked to him about Imhotep. I was out of it. I have to tell you, I was out of it in the hospital. 2 weeks. I don't think I remember 2 weeks of. I thought I was in the hospital for 1 week when they put me into a different intensive care unit, acute care unit, and but I thought I was only there for 1 week. It turned out I was there for 3 weeks. I had no idea. But I do remember one moment that this young doctor, and I was talking to him about Joseph because his name was Joseph. And then he got a look on his face, like I remember because I said that Joseph possibly was Imhotep, who was one of the greatest physicians in the world, the first and the greatest physician in the world who used honey to heal a lot of his patients. So anyway, he got a very strange look on his face, and it was after that that he decided to look into maybe finding out the issues as to why I had blood clots. He was the one who healed my heart. He was the one who looked at my heart. I think he was the one who did the surgery too, so I still recall. No, 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 he didn't. He didn't do the surgery. He found out that there were holes in my heart because nobody else was looking at my heart because my heart seemed to be working fine. And he was the one who looked into the issues and decided we needed to look closer at her heart. And then that's when they took me to the heart surgeon. And I was awake for that, by the way. They actually kept me awake. They did the surgery through my right leg. It went up through my groin, up into my heart. And they used some kind of rocks or stones or something, and they implanted them in my heart where the holes were. And the something about the flesh covering over these stones that would keep the heart from these would close up these holes, and eventually the flesh would close over these stones, so they become a part of the heart. Anyway, my heart. Isn't that interesting? But his name was Dr. Joseph. Isn't that interesting? Well, Joseph, one of my favorite characters in the Bible. But anyway, it must be just a coincidence. I think that's all I'm going to say in this video, and I'll be back sometime. I don't know when, but we'll try to get back to you as soon as I'm able. But God bless you all, and thank you for those who pray for me and those who watch my videos. We're not done yet, baby. I'm back, baby. That's what Redwood used to say in the hospital. I'm back, baby. I'm back. He's so cute. Anyway, I will talk to you later. God bless you all.